So, hi everybody and welcome back to this C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 31 and in this video we learn the do-while loop. And the do-while loop is actually very simple, very easy because it's similar to the last video with our while loop. So here we learned the while loop, and the do-while loop is using this while loop and puts here in the end and write a do in front. So let me show why it does this and why we will use it. Perhaps not. So first of all, it starts do because this while will be replaced and this while will be put at the end. All is the same. So it starts with do, then we have again our body, and then we have at the end this time our while. So the same thing here like on top. Perfect. Here I write again my condition number just as a condition. I need a condition and I write 10, and at the end, that's very important too, a do while loop need at the end. Okay, this is formatting. I write it here down just to make it more simple, to make it more visible. Here down. So here at the end a semicolon. This one don't need because this is the body. That's very important too. So what is this do while loop? Why we need this one when we already have a while loop? The difference here, first of all, is this one has at start no condition, which means you will do this body here no matter what when I use this do while loop. In this case, on the other one, the while loop, he will all time check at start this condition and then he will enter this body if it's true. Here and again here in our do while loop, I don't care at start of the condition. Doesn't matter what happens, you will go into this body and print something out. Let's print something out there. Let's do this one. Why not? The same thing here. Let's copy this one and print this out. We can do, of course, many other things, but and here we use a do while loop. Do while loop. Okay. So now we have a do while loop, and then after it says no matter what happens, you have, after you printed out the first time this body, then check the condition if you can go back to this body again to print more. And then it checks like a normal while loop the condition, and the condition says if my condition number is less than 10, I will do it. But if it's not false, I will continue with my code. That's it. But I want to introduce you here one more thing, and that is a debug. A debug means just check line by line all the stats, which means we check line by line all the variable stats, because here we have a problem. And the problem is I use this variable name. I created not this variable name here, like here in my while loop. Let me make here a little bit more space so it's a little bit more easy to see. So in this while loop here on top, I created a variable name, and this variable name I used as my condition checker, right? Here in this while loop, I created not this variable name because I said this variable name I will use also as a checker, because I want go print out first the 10 numbers and then I want print them back the 10 numbers. So, and how I can do this? So we have, of course, we have to write here a condition too, like here, because this one will be checked after the first time. And then if the condition is true, it will jump to the body, but we have not here an increment, for example. Let's do this too. My condition number, but let's use a decrement. That's very important. We have to decrement it. And then we learned also this decrement, and you see this starts to get a little bit complicated, right? So I use this variable number which was created on top, I reused it here down, and actually I don't know at start what's in it, right? So let's say this program would be very long, and let's assume it, and 1,000 lines, and this variable would be used multiple times, then I have no clue what this number is. At start I know, at start it was 0, then perhaps I know for the first use case, in this case a while loop, yes I know it incrementing here 10 times around this one, yes I know, but what is this later? What happens there? What is the value of this variable? And now we use this debug system. Of course there are other systems how to check, but one way is to debug, and debug means just check line by line, and we are interested in the variables. Here you can go, how to use the debug is in Visual Studio, very simple, careful. In other IDEs it is not the same. This method works only in Visual Studio. What I make here, you go here to the left side, and then you can click here, and then it comes a dot, a red dot. This red dot means if you start the program now, like normal, then it will jump to this line and stop here, and will print out some stats here, which you can check. And that is exactly what I want. I want to check which number is this, my condition here. But careful, this one will stop in front of the line. It has not evaluated this line. Let me show what I mean with that. Let's start first. I start the program. Then it jumps to this line. It stops here. And in this case, it is in front of my condition, but it has not checked this line. It is just in front of this line. That's very important to know. And then when we go down here, where it says, here's an output, and then we can, here's also an output. There are two, but this is too complicated. And here are some other things perhaps also too complicated, which we are not so interested. At start, as a beginner, we concentrate only on variables. We just want variable checking. All right. And it says at this point, at the start point, and that's very important, is 10. But this line is not evaluated. Only till this point is 10. But I will now decrement it. So, and how we can go to the next line? It's very simple. You go here on top, we have here options. Here, this 4 options. And actually, we are using only this in the middle, which means step over. Later, when we have functions, we will go use this one, step in and step out. And this one is, I think, step to the next statements. We can check this later too. But this one is very important. Let's do this one. To the next statement, which is not working at all. Cool. Important is this middle one, right? This step over. Of course, you can use also the shortcuts there. But when you click now, step over means go to the next. And now it has finished this line, and this number is now 9. And that why is that useful for us? It is not only useful for us to find numbers, it is also very, very useful for us to check our logical thinking. And how we check this? We try to think what we expect first, and then we check the line if it's really doing that what we expect. For example, I expect now at this point that this line is 9. 9 is less than 10. Yes, 9 is indeed less than 10, which means it is true. And true means it will not jump back. That's bad. And I found an error. That's nice. So and let's see if this is true, if my logical thinking is true. Let's see. I go to the next step, and it was not true. 9 is less than 10. Actually, it was true. That's why it jumps here. And it was not false. So only if it's false goes out. So, and then it jumps back because it's true. Sorry for that. And then it goes again in. So at this point, it is checking my condition number. Here is 9. Then it is here at this point. My condition number is still 9. Careful, it is the start point. That means it is not, this line is not evaluated. And after I click to the next line, now this one is used, it's 8. And then it says my condition number is 8 at this point. I can expect this, and then it checks, is this less than 10? Yes, it is. That's why it jumps back, because true, not false. It only if it's false, it jumps out and goes on. So, and this is it. And then you can check here the numbers and so on. And well, I don't know in Visual Studio how to step out. Normally there's one more. No, normally there should be one more thing to step out of this one of loops, but I don't know where it is actually. Ah, that's not so wild. Later it is wild if you have a loop of over 100 and so. That could be really. But here, very important, we have a mistake. And you can see it already, right? This loop will never end. And why? Okay, it's very simple actually, but what is the mistake? Can you tell it before I tell? It is just that this condition will be all time true afterwards, because the number is all time less than 10 when it was already less than 10, and then we decrement the number, which means it goes all time minus. And this can cause a big problem. And let me show the problem without the debug. When I start, this happens now that this one is never ending, or it will later it will end when it reaches the point where the integer is out of range, and then it will crash actually. And that's very bad. So what we have to do is we have, of course, to adjust here a little bit. And how we can adjust it, we say, first of all, I know my start condition number. Let's check this one fast. So you set here a point to start this. And here you know, okay, it is 10 at start. Then you can stop here just before you go on. Then you know at this point is 10. And then when it's incrementing is 1. And then instead of writing here, now we think a little bit. Instead of writing here down the condition less than 10, we have just to write greater than 0, right? That makes more sense. As long as it is greater than 0, it should go in, because, and then after it is less than 0, it should jump out. And when we check this with our loop again, let's see if we can use our, I make here a dot at this point. And this one I start here, and now it jumps here to this point, and I see at the start point it's 9. Okay, good. And then I go here on top to step over. Okay, let's go. And then it goes again in loop. Okay, now it's 8. Now it's 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now 0, and 0 is greater than 0. No. And now think before the next step, before this one is evaluating, try to think yourself what you expect, because later in program error finding, you find your own errors this way, that you say, I expect that this one should jump out now, right? And if it's not jumping out, then you made an error. Let's see, I expect that this is jumping out. I click now next. Yes, it is jumping out. It's all fine. Okay, I think that was it all for this one. And then one more thing, after you finished, click again on this red so you can get rid of this dot. So it's running the program normal. So that was all it for this one. And in the next video, we will use this debug system more to check variables in our program and train our logical thinking with line by line checks. because this debug is nothing else what we do already in our brain, but this way it's more, let's say, accurate, because the compiler says I do this what I know and you not what you think to know. Something like that. Okay, that's it. See you in the next, and bye.